How's it going, everyone? VenomousStare here, and today we have something very entertaining. We have a Starcraft II ladder grudge match of sorts because this game was played during a qualifier, which means that the top 16 ranks get in. This is a WCS qualifier, and this is very, very important because this really affects if the pro gamers get to be in the big league, so to speak. So it's the way that the ladder has been legitimized, whereas in Heart of the Swarm the ladder was largely perceived as a joke for a long part of that game's life. So our players this game, Liquid TLO, the German player, and spawning close positions against our creative Zerg is Marinelord, the French Terran who has never been featured on my channel before. Looks like a Reaper opening, guys, as TLO breaks out the hatchery first. Standard stuff so far, so I'll kick it up to ×2. One thing that's interesting about this map is you can spawn close positions like we see this game, or close by air, and close positions by ground is advantageous for Terran, so these spots favor Marinelord. We'll see how TLO reacts. Now, if he does react, I would say that it's going to be in an aggressive manner. If he says, oh, it's close positions, I need to alter my build, the way that he would do that would be doing something aggressive. So TLO is a good Zerg. Should is immediately getting that Zergling speed upgrade and double Queen. This is a great way to not lose drones to a Reaper. TLO has... One thing I've always liked about TLO is he's a very measured player. He's not someone who gets, at least when he ladders, he's not someone who gets flustered and sloppy Joe and doesn't have things timed out. I think he's meticulous and precise, and his builds and his thoughts, or his builds and his strategies are well thought out. So in that respect, he's a good player to learn from. Notice he's immediately started a second Queen and walked the one from his main down to the natural. This is a great move, and I'll point out the obvious for you new players. He wants to start spreading creep as soon as possible, but theoretically he doesn't want to miss any injects at all if he can avoid it, because he wants to just be able to mass out drones and overlords, and if he has to, Zerglings. So he loses a creep tumor there. That really sucks. That means for the next 30 seconds, TLO, his creep spread's 30 seconds behind. Because think of creep spread like a graph that just goes up. The earlier you can start the graph, like the further to the left that, this is becoming a crazy analogy, the further to the left of the y-axis, no, of the x-axis that the graph moves of when you start creep spread, the better it becomes, because obviously creep spread is one of those things because it's literally spread. You do it and you place it and it just manifests itself all over the map. So the earlier you can start that, the earlier you can be at the Terran's front door, and that's extremely important on a map that's close positions. Because TLO's getting a relatively early Baneling nest. Now I don't know if he's going to be aggressive. This could just be a precautionary measure, but this Baneling nest gives him the opportunity to be aggressive. And TLO, he's the kind of guy who likes to even the odds in his favor by doing something creative or kind of flexing his intellectual muscles a bit, I would say. TLO likes to outthink his opponent. He's not someone who goes into every game and mindlessly does the same thing. So he scouts that it's close positions, and it looks like he's going to do a Baneling bust. Lots of Lings on the way for TLO, pure Lings and Banes. So there's really no way that any player who wanted to macro would make this many Lings. That's how you know it's like a Baneling bust. And we see these 9 Banes. Now TLO might just be thinking Marinelord has this little defensive position, but Marinelord has started a secondary wall. However, it's relatively undefended. So let's see what TLO decides to do. He sees the wall. He's just going to kill it with Lings. Great idea, but he runs forward with the Banes. Marinelord master pairing. This is going to be really droopy. And TLO runs forward and kills a plethora of SCVs, screaming forward, killing almost all the SCVs in the natural 19. Marinelord got hit right in the mouth with that. He didn't expect that at all. And he has the ability to make 2 Liberators at a time, but not the economy. And he's going to try to set up this Liberator to where he can defend the space, but Marinelord is going to likely lose all 3 of these depots, and he does. So now, I mean, he would be supply blocked if he wasn't so insanely far behind. That was just awful, and we see a drop get cleaned up in the main, as my observing really become atrocious. But we didn't miss anything. 23 drones that TLO killed. He absolutely eviscerated that natural expansion. He's going to run forward here and be more obnoxious. I don't blame him. He's going to run around and flank, and even though there's a Liberator there, he's going to attack and succeed. So TLO proving Zerg's wrong. Maybe you don't need to be afraid of Liberators all the time. No, I'm just kidding. You always need to be afraid of Liberators. But TLO, aware of the close positions on this map, showing off a nice little aggressive build. Marinelord, simply put, was not ready. I mean, he forewent the early Hellions. He didn't get a tank. He played very greedy. He went right into that double Liberator play, and it just didn't really work out for him. TLO had the recipe for him, the Dario chef, and he just hit him right in the suck hole with some unexpected banelings. And as any Terran player knows, that can often go very badly. And speaking of things that can go very badly when they hit you in the suck hole, here come the roaches, and here come the Ravagers. So our French player, despite his 1 Liberator with 17 kills, is probably not long for this world, as soon as he tries to pick up the drop to get back in the game, TLO attacks. This is another thing TLO does very well, is he's very good at making use of the units that he has on the map currently. He'll poke and prod more than most people, and he doesn't let his macros slip. TLO is starting to break the rocks as Marinelord pushes across the map. Now this is an absurdly small army of about a dozen Marines, and even though this 1 Liberator is here, TLO loses both Banes actually. He only has 1, he's flanking with 2 more. The Liberator, which is the real crux of this push, goes down almost immediately. TLO, with these early Ravagers, great idea because Liberators can be a huge pain in the ass if you do not have Ravagers, because they can just box your queens out by setting up shop on ramps. So Marinelord will intelligently drop TLO at the 3rd and try to prevent him from pushing. TLO's not really going to fall for it though. He's like, okay, you killed my queen, big deal. And Marinelord has been desperately trying to pump units to get back into the game. His 2 Liberators, or he had 2 Liberators, one of them fell, the second one will fall very shortly. And the French player is forced to pull his SCVs, and it looks like he's going to fall to the German. As this little wall out here, similar to the Maginot Line, was easily circumvented by the German. And TLO hit Marinelord absolutely full on with a full frontal assault and annihilated him. So if you enjoyed the game, hit subscribe, because I'll have more Dario, and everyone loves TLO.